Well, hello, free people of the Rocky Mountain region. This is Brandon from freestatecolorado.com with your weekly news roundup for August 5th, 2024. Nearly every week, I take a look at some headlines, news stories, and articles from across our great state. As always, you can find the links at freestatecolorado.com, as well as some other articles and original reporting and some interviews. Most recently, I have an interview with Rich Guggenheim from Protect Kids Colorado, where he was talking about the ballot measures to protect girls' sports, to inform parents of kids having some crisis at school. Unfortunately, they did not get enough signatures to get on the November ballot, but I will be revisiting that because there's another story to tell there. And then I talked to Natalie Metton also very recently, where she kind of uncovered for the first time these Jefferson County contracts that were awarded out during the COVID era to this politically connected firm that is now trying to take away taxpayer bill of rights refunds in Jefferson County. So definitely check that out, especially if you live in Jeffco. But let's see what's in the news this week. First story I'd like to talk about is something I've been keeping an eye on for nearly a year. From the denverpost.com, judge rules in Castle Rock Church's favor in fight with town over shelter for homeless families in parking lot. That's right, the city of Castle Rock was trying to prevent a local church from using an RV and a trailer to help some families get back on their feet. Zoning regulations can't be used to stop church from carrying out religious mission, ruling says. July 24th, 2024. Castle Rock's attempts to stop a church from housing homeless families in vehicles in its parking lot is a violation of the church's practice of religious freedom, a federal court has ruled. U.S. District Judge Daniel Domenico issued a preliminary injunction late last week that stops the Douglas County town from using its land use regulations to bar the Rock Church from using an RV and a camping trailer parked behind its main building to provide shelter to those who need it. The Rock's lead pastor did not return requests for a comment. The Castle Rock spokesperson said they will not say anything publicly until they've had the opportunity to review the order and discuss options. The church sued Castle Rock earlier this year, claiming the town was violating the Religious Land Use and Institutional Persons Act, a 2000 law that protects individuals, houses of worship, and other religious institutions from discrimination in zoning and landmarking laws. The town contended that the vehicles being used as temporary shelters in the church's parking lot violated its zoning regulations. So check that out. It's pretty shameful that Castle Rock hasn't done anything. This dispute's been going on for a year at least, and the city of Castle Rock didn't really do anything to make an exception, to change the zoning laws, to allow a church to protect the community by providing a spot for homeless people to go. Well, there you have it, folks. Some of these small towns like Castle Rock aren't always acting in the best interests of the people, but thankfully we have churches willing to fight like the Rock here. Let's move on. Another article from the Denver Post. Denver Council hits brakes on affordable housing sales tax pitched by Mayor Mike Johnston. I wanted to talk about this. There's other cities and towns across Colorado that are going to be asking for more taxes come November. Folks, times are tough, and these greedy politicians want to take more money out of our wallets. We just have to tell them no. No more tax increases. Groceries are through the roof. Rent, property taxes, all of it is so expensive these days. There's no reason for these local politicians, these local governments to try and take more money out of our wallets. This was from July 24th, 2024. Just days after Mayor Mike Johnston urged Denver voters to pass an affordable housing sales tax this November, City Council members on Wednesday questioned if the measure was ready for the ballot and delayed its progress for at least 2 weeks. Members, led by Councilwoman Jamie Torres, cited numerous concerns during a committee hearing, including a lack of specificity in the proposed ordinance language. Torres said she wanted to provide voters with a clearer picture of just what the 0.5% sales tax and increase on top of Denver's current 8.81% effective rate would pay for. Wow. I mean, Denver has such high taxes, it's hard for people to afford to live there. And then these greedy politicians just want more and more. So, no doubt in my mind that the city council is going to allow some sort of tax increase to be on the ballot, if not more than one. Multiple tax increases probably on the ballot for Denver voters. Just say no, people. But at least we're seeing some resistance from city council members who realize how unaffordable life has become and that you can't just keep asking people for more and more of their money. Let's move on. From CPR.org, grand jury indicts a Colorado police chief and daughter, a town clerk, for embezzlement, theft, and impersonating a peace officer. July 25th, 2024. The Lakeside police chief and his daughter, the town clerk, were charged this week with several felonies after prosecutors say the pair used public dollars to buy several used cars for the police department, resold them for higher prices, and pocketed the cash. For years, Robert Gordonier, the town's police chief, as well as its former mayor and fire chief, along with his daughter Brenda Hamilton, the town clerk, stole public money, impersonated a police officer, and used public dollars for a personal Costco trip, according to an indictment unsealed Thursday and released by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. Wow. So check that out. I mean, I'm sure this thing happens more often than not, more often than it's probably reported, or these politicians aren't always necessarily caught, but just an example of why citizens need to be involved at their local government and paying attention to what's happening. Let's move on. Another black mark here for Castle Rock from July 26, 2024. The Castle Rock News Press, ColoradoCommunityMedia.com. Castle Rock to put sales tax increase on November ballot to help fund police and fire. Castle Rock will ask voters this November for a sales tax increase to fund police and fire services. Town Council voted unanimously to place the sales tax measure on the ballot, setting a growing demand for public services. I mean, come on, people. Castle Rock has more money than they've ever had before. They're collecting a lot of tax money already with the big growth in population, like they're complaining is a problem. That means they're getting a lot of tax money. Maybe they need to reevaluate how they're managing their money instead of trying to nickel and dime the people trying to make ends meet. So shame on Castle Rock. Greeley, similar story here from Greeley City Council, rejects $7 million sales tax increase for public safety, GreeleyTribune.com. This was July 26, 2024. Like I said, folks, we're going to see a lot of these governments coming out asking their voters for more tax money. Just say no. Greeley voters can expect 2 ballot measures from the city come November after City Council this week nixed a proposed third measure over concerns it would impact the passage of the others. The city will pursue, on the upcoming ballot, a measure to make its existing 3% food tax permanent. No, boom, vote no on that. And another to increase debt by $65 million without a tax increase to pay for road and regional transportation improvements. The third measure, a $7 million sales tax increase for public safety, was unanimously rejected by the council. There you go, folks. These greedy governments, these greedy politicians are trying to take more and more of your money. Let's move on. TheDenverPost.com, locked in tight re-election race. Yadira Caraveo supports Kamala Harris, then condemns her. It's an election year, folks. Colorado Congresswoman's vote for immigration resolution came days after she backed vice president. Congressional District 8 is going to be one of the hottest elections in the country. You're probably already seeing ads for and against Caraveo. She's a nightmare, needs to be out of there, if you ask me, my personal opinion here. And of course, she's doing everything she can to appear moderate and not appear that as much as extreme as she actually is. U.S. Representative Yadira Caraveo backed Vice President Kamala Harris for the Democratic presidential nomination less than a week ago. Then, days later, she supported a Republican-sponsored House resolution strongly condemning Harris for the Biden administration's failure to secure the United States border. The vote Thursday was the latest to turn heads as Caraveo faces a tight re-election race in Colorado's 8th congressional district, while other Colorado Democrats defended President Joe Biden and Harris' immigration record, including Governor Jared Polis and U.S. Representative Diana DeGette, who called the resolution a naked political stunt. Caraveo stood out. She argued that it was part of an independent streak she has shown as she's represented a battleground district. But her Republican opponent, State Representative Gabe Evans, portrayed Caraveo's vote as part of an about-face from her past open border record. Yep, there you go. So you can dig into that article for some more information about her open border record in the past, and very interesting to see how words change when election time comes around. Let's go ahead and move on. From DenverGazette.com, Jeffco Commissioners face scrutiny over $300,000 contract to explore eliminating Tabor refunds. From Anaya Moore, updated July 28th, 2024. Let's make that a little bigger here. Jefferson County's elected officials are facing scrutiny over their decision to hire a political consulting firm and spend $300,000 in public dollars to explore whether voters would support eliminating taxpayer refunds when their constituents already rejected that question twice. Wow. The political consulting firm's work was the basis for Commissioners Tracy Kraft Tharp, Andy Kerr, and Leslie Dahlkamper unanimously voting to ask the public in November to allow the county to retain and spend all the revenue it collects, instead of giving some of it back to residents as mandated by the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights. In addition to questioning the use of taxpayer money to explore financing a political campaign, some criticized the county's decision to hire the Bighorn Company, a consulting firm based in Lakewood, saying that work should have been done in-house. Others questioned the relationship between the county commissioners and the consulting firm's founder, Ian Silveri. Silveri maintained that there is no conflict of interest, and he also defended his company's work. You got to check this out, folks. Jefferson County voters are trying to be railroaded. Twice, Jefferson County voters in 2019 and 2022 have rejected eliminating taxpayer Bill of Rights refunds, but these greedy politicians want to keep your money. They want to keep coming back to your wallet to take more and more out of it. So just say no. Shame on Tracy Kraft Tharp, Andy Kerr, and Leslie Dahlkamper, who are trying to rip off the voters in Jefferson County. Let's move on. The Colorado Sun. Mountain Towns Way, Colorado's first ever tax on empty homes from August 1st, 2024. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous, folks. I mean, how can you tell you live in a Soviet or socialist style community? Well, it's when the politicians want to tax your empty house. I mean, that is absolutely and utterly ridiculous. It is totally anti-property and anti-Colorado. Colorado resort towns lining up plans for a tax on vacant homes. That's insane. There are very few short-term rental homes that do not pay special lodging taxes in Colorado. Most communities have limits and regulations governing vacation homes. State lawmakers have considered quadrupling property taxes on the state's 24,000 plus short-term rental homes. Across Colorado, dozens of cities, towns, and counties are working to slow the explosion of vacation rentals while simultaneously squeezing more tax revenue from them. This year, a coalition of resort communities is planning to lobby lawmakers to help ease the process for taxing vacant homes. The Colorado Association of Ski Towns, or CAST, also hopes to secure legislation enabling local governments to oppose a fee on every real estate sale. That is insane, absolutely and utterly wild. So they're going to monitor your house, see if it's vacant. Maybe it's your vacation house. Maybe you saved up your whole life. It's been in your family for years, and you have a house that you use every once in a while, and they want to tax it because you're not staying there. I mean, it's absolutely and utterly shocking. It's disgusting and anti-property. It's a total socialist type of system. People have to say no to this ridiculousness. Let's go ahead and move on. The Denver Gazette as well. Flash or cash, Metro Denver experiments with red light speed cameras from July 29th, 2024. Bad news, folks. These need to be banned in Colorado. Less than 2 weeks after the town of Morrison installed a photo speed camera along Highway 8 near the entrance to Red Rocks Amphitheater earlier this year, the unit detected more than 10,000 violations. With Colorado's laws setting the maximum fine for citations at $40 from a photo van or $75 from a red light camera, it's easy to see how the tiny municipality of fewer than 400 residents might be staring down the lens of an awful lot of revenue. Absolutely ridiculous. Where are Metro Denver's red light cameras? Check that out. Red light cameras need to be banned. It's wrong that the government is spying on the people like this and trying to just tax them out the wazoo. So check that out if you're interested. But nonetheless, bad news when it comes to red light cameras. Moving on. Also, Denver Gazette, some new laws coming into effect here August 7th. Wanted to bring people's awareness to this. July 29th, 2024, updated July 30th. So there's 200 new Colorado laws that will take effect August 7th. Here's some of the big ones. You can check this out if you're interested. But of course, one of the ones I am most interested in, I'm sure you might be as well, is this Senate Bill 66, Firearms Merchant Category Code. The law requires credit card companies to establish a new code to categorize firearms and ammunition sales. A credit card processing company must assign the code to each firearms merchant to which the processor provides services. The bill was sponsored by Javier Marbury, Meg Froelich, and Tom Sullivan. You can read it there. So this is ridiculous, folks. Starting August 7th here, if you use a credit card to buy ammunition or firearms in Colorado, you will be tracked. There will be a new code that they can use to keep an eye on your purchases. Terrible. Bad news. Authoritarian piece of legislation from our governor. Let's move on. WashingtonExaminer.com from July 31st, 2024. Trial begins for Colorado activist over 2020 voting data breach. This is a big story. I'll definitely be covering this more in depth as the trial ends. It's underway right now, of course, but Tina Peters, a former local Colorado election clerk, will face trial starting Wednesday. It's happening right now on charges related to alleged tampering of voting machines and leaking confidential data following the 2020 election. Peters, a former Mesa County clerk turned activist who maintains that she had legitimate concerns about the way the county's 2020 general election was conducted, was indicted by a grand jury in March of 2022. She has denied wrongdoing and stands accused of 3 felony counts of attempting to influence a public servant, 4 felony counts related to impersonation and identity theft, and 3 misdemeanor counts for official misconduct. Jury selection is slated to begin, can last up to 2 days. Prosecutors claim Peters instructed her deputy clerk to turn off security cameras in May 2021 and facilitated an unauthorized person to observe and photograph a voting machine update. Peters, who says she acted out of concerns over whether she could trust the Dominion voting systems machines in her county, allegedly sent data and passwords to a Florida company which posted the information online. In a report published in September 2021, an independent cybersecurity firm said it found unusual activity and evidence of deleted voting records. A subsequent investigation by Colorado's 21st District Attorney Daniel Rubenstein found no evidence of coordinated election fraud, but discovered several instances of human error and found that the omitted records that the private security firm highlighted were not related to the election results. Well, there you go. So interesting stuff going on with the Tina Peters case. Definitely keep an eye on it, but I know a lot of people are interested in what happens there, so we'll see. Moving on. Sad story here, folks, of course, but this is the reality of living in an HOA. Colorado HOA members try to shut down children's lemonade stand by calling police. This is from July 30th, 2024. Wow. A homeowners association in Colorado called the local sheriff's office on a group of children who set up a lemonade stand. According to the Summit County Sheriff's Office Justice Files Community Police Bulletin, deputies arrived on the scene of a neighborhood lemonade stand after receiving a call. Let's go ahead and take a look at that here. Here it is under dispute. HOA members in Wilderness reported children running an illegal lemonade stand on county right-of-way. Deputies arrived on scene and found that the children were not blocking the roadway, but did ask them to move back from the road a few feet for their safety. They did not find an issue with the location of the stand. While deputies moved on to deal with parking issues in the area, the original reporting parties came out and began yelling at the children, claiming they were on private property. Deputies came back and determined the property was shared HOA property, and because the children's parents are part of the HOA, they had the right to be there. I mean, come on, people. What's going on in Summit County? It's absolutely and utterly ridiculous up there. How would people just let these kids sell their lemonade, for heaven's sakes? Absolutely sad news there, but I had to report that because it's just too unbelievable. DenverPost.com, a sign of the times here. Copper wire thefts disrupt RTD rail service in Metro Denver. I mean, you hate to laugh, it is tragic, it's terrible, but the policies of the Denver City Council and the Colorado government are leading to this type of situation. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. This is from August 1st, 2024. Thieves at night have been stealing copper wiring from Regional Transportation District rail tracks in Metro Denver, disrupting transit system circuitry and causing malfunctions and delays. They've struck a dozen times in the last 10 days, RTD Assistant General Manager for Rail Operations David Jensen said in an interview. This is the latest surge in a pattern the FBI has observed for more than a decade, in which global economic demand for copper creates opportunity for criminals. The thefts have complicated an already difficult summer for RTD officials who for months have been scrambling to handle track maintenance problems and ensure safety for riders on buses and trains. If they grab the wires associated with our power, it will shut us down, Jensen said. I mean, oh my gosh. If there's not a better summation for what's going on in the Denver metro area these days, it's this right here, that you have thieves stealing a copper wire from RTD. RTD's already struggling to work anyway. I mean, oh my gosh, people. Let's move on here. DenverGazette.com really wanted to bring this to people's attention because I know there's been a lot of fake controversy over these fires, but Quarry fire now being investigated as possible arson. Updated August 3rd, 2024. Still at 0% containment, grew to 550 acres on Friday, but not spreading to structures. The now 550-acre Quarry fire was human-caused, Jefferson County Sheriff's Office investigator Kevin Boast said Friday. Investigators are suspicious that the fire started at 9 p.m. on the south side of Deer Creek Canyon, a dark mountain road with no cameras and no streetlights. Why would a fire start there at 9 o'clock at night? It got us scratching our heads. We preliminary believe that this fire is human-caused in some manner. So there you go, folks. I mean, these fires all popped up at the exact same time. It's not unreasonable to ask, are they human caused? Of course, they're human caused. Is there some malicious intent behind it? Possibly. Well, moving on, last article of the week here. Home property taxes don't just affect homeowners, renters need relief too. From Andrew Hamrick from coloradopolitics.com. Of course, as you know, property taxes are through the roof, and it does affect renters. Earlier this year, Colorado was ranked the second worst in the country after California for housing shortages, coming up 100,000 homes and apartments short of need. This deficit has contributed in part to a steep decline in housing affordability for Coloradans. Skyrocketing assessment values have created soaring state property taxes, leaving affordable housing less and less attainable for seniors, young families, and middle-class Coloradans. This includes renters who ultimately pay the rising taxes. So this November, renters will have a chance to pass two proposals to reasonably curb the out-of-control property tax increases. Initiative 108 and 50 will cut and cap property taxes, providing tax relief for homeowners and renters. If nothing is done, Coloradans will see an estimated 50% increase in property tax bills by 2036, which will climb to an untenable 95% increase by 2045. People are already struggling to make ends meet, and the steep climb is only going to squeeze renters, putting affordability further and further out of reach. So check that out. All these articles, of course, are at the freestatecolorado.com page associated with this video. But a lot going on, a lot more to talk about in upcoming times. But thank you very much for joining me this week, and we'll take care. We'll see you next time.